Anywhere where you are allowed to buy a bottle of wine and record is a place for us.
Yes.
To spring training. Big event for Scottsdale. Big event.
Big. I think there's like a trifecta, right? There's the golf tournament. Mm-hmm. Okay. Then there's spring training, and then there's Barrett-Jackson.
Those are the three big Scottsdale events.
Big Scottsdale events that bring people from like worldwide.
Oh yeah. Now we've done Barrett-Jackson plenty of times. It's actually right here at Westworld.
2.7 million, our new high sale of the auction.
Just a really fun event if you haven't been to that car auction. I mean,
if you're into cars.
Even if you're not into cars, they are auctioning cars for $1 million. It's pretty exciting. And of course, the Phoenix Open is also a really fun event.
Leap down the hill. Get in. Beautiful. That's exactly the shot I thought was going to go in. A little right to left hook in there. Frank, I told you. I had a feeling.
You did. And I'm loving it.
Oh, well, people watching there is, bar none, the best.
And then, of course, there's spring training. Now, we've lived here. I've lived here my entire life. Trisha's lived here most of her life. And we've never been to spring training yet.
Never.
Not once. And you don't see a lot of sports on the channel. And I've been to a baseball game before, and I ended up having to leave at the third quarter. I mean, I think after the last touchdown, I said, okay, let's go. So, now spring training is a little bit different, though, because all the teams come in to prepare and whatnot, but it's a lot of fun to see, particularly the Zamboni comes and it cleans the lawn up. It's really a lot of fun.
Okay, so if you're not familiar with spring training is across the valley. There's all different locations, but the Arizona Diamondbacks play at Talking Stick. And we also have the Chicago Cubs.
And they just built their new stadium, the Cubs did.
Yes, and it's
gorgeous.
Really pretty, and you'd see everybody in blue, and everybody's really team spirited. So if you have a particular team you like, you need to find out where their stadium is, because there are several in the valley. It's not just one stadium.
And they're playing, Kansas. Are they playing they're playing Kansas? Okay, so they're playing the Redskins.
My favorite part is that it is the opening of spring.
Yes.
I feel like everyone here is here, they're energized, they're excited.
Yes.
And it's the beginning of like no more snow. People are visiting from all over the country.
They're super excited, as you can
tell. And people are
tell.
excited to be right here having fun.
Yeah. My favorite part, hands down, was the organ. Not every team has a organ player, but this guy is a lot of fun to be with. And Caleb and I went over to talk to him, and he says, I just watched the game very carefully. And you know, when I have 5 seconds or 10 seconds or 15 seconds, he bangs out a little jingle, and he can get audience participation. He can do everything. He kind of creates the mood,
the spirit.
Yeah.
And Caleb said that he got to play.
Well, yeah, he
got to touch.
He said if you're recording, why don't you make it look like Caleb's gonna go touch the keyboard and then run away. So anyway, it's pretty funny.
Yes.
So it's a lot of fun. Bring sunscreen. Yeah?
Yeah, and bring a blanket because you're going to want to mark your spot if you're out here on the lawn.
Yes.
Yes, and you never know because the wind can pick up, the weather can change. It's early spring here, and bring your allergy medicine if you suffer from allergies because you are right in the midst of it.
Can you tell from what's behind us where we are?
Ooh, that's a good one.
I think there's some people that are going to know exactly where. You can tell. Okay, I'll give you a hint. Based on the architecture behind us in Arizona, do you know where we are?
Mmm.
Started building this when he was 70 years old.
Wow.
He came out here in the middle of nowhere with 23 young men and women apprentices and started building Taliesin West. I'm Molly, I'm your tour guide. And my disclaimer is I'm smitten with Taliesin West, in case you can't tell. He passed on in Phoenix, 2 months shy of his 92nd birthday. He worked 5 days up before his passing. And in his later years, he went into this prodigious working. And the desert had something to do with that. Also, he had the money to buy this land here from his commission from Falling Water. Has anybody been there? Okay. America's most visited home is our White House. The second most visited home in America is Frank Lloyd Wright's Falling Water. Mr. Wright completed 1/3 of his life's work between the ages of 80 and almost 92.
Frank Lloyd Wright was commissioned to build in New York City, he said, what on earth am I gonna build that is organic in the middle of the city? And he had this sitting on his desk. Does it remind you of anything? It's a perfect replication of the Guggenheim.
Is it? Is it that close?
It's like, it looks almost like this. The staircase that goes inside.
Wow.
Yes. Beethoven and Frank Lloyd Wright have in common? Music. He loved playing his music, and he loved being at that piano, having everyone come in here at night and perform. People from all walks of life have been here, but names that you know, Marilyn Monroe was here performing. He thought that if you could perform to a group, you could handle anything in life, especially closing the sale of a new building.
So we were just in Mr. Wright's theater. Fairly progressive. Fairly progressive.
Yes, how about the fact that he was friends with John Wayne and that he would get the movies early so he could critique them?
That's interesting, but there's other trivia we learned in there.
John Lloyd Wright accompanied his father to Tokyo, where Frank Lloyd Wright was commissioned to build Japan's Imperial Hotel. John was fired by his father in a squabble over money, but his experience working on the Imperial Hotel project wasn't wasted. John noticed his father using interlocking timbers to help construct the hotel and make it earthquake-proof. With that inspiration, John Lloyd Wright came up with the idea of Lincoln Logs.
It was a foundation that he created in Japan. It was the only standing building after their massive earthquake.
No way.
Was Frank Lloyd Wright's building. And so what would happen is everybody came in, all the medics and everything, and they took over the hotel and used it as a triage unit because it was the only building left.
What a legacy.
Yeah. We have like the best tour guide. Her name is Molly.
She might as well be his like great-granddaughter.
Yes, yes.
That's what it feels like. It feels like we're getting a tour from his granddaughter.
She's transplanted us back in time.
Yes.
We even know his height, his stature, what he loved to wear,
yes,
and how he behaved.
It's so much fun.
this room it's been tested. It's around 95 to 98% acoustically perfect. I can turn around and I can keep talking to you, and you can still hear me probably just fine. Can you hear me okay? Back row? Back row says thumbs up. Good. I'm standing on a soundboard. Now, I put it on a soundboard, which is just wood, and really, Taliesin West, we say plywood and dead space. About 18 to 22 inches. Can you hear? Beethoven, of course.
One of the things that I loved about learning about actually Frank Lloyd Wright himself, not just his architecture, is how engaged with life he is. He was 100% architecture all the way through. He never advertised. He never told people where he was. They would just find him. They would come to the desert and hunt him down and ask him to design. But it was because he was so engaged with life and excited.
He was so into it.
That
in
people
fact,
stalked him.
there is a quote that he was called to testify in court, and they asked him to identify himself, and he says, well, I am Frank Lloyd Wright, the greatest architect who ever lived. How could you say such a thing about yourself? And he says, well, I'm under oath.
That gives you a little inkling into his personality.
Yes. There is water here from a well 400 feet down, and he knew that there was water on this property even back then, I think in the late 30s, because he saw that there were rounded river rocks, so he knew there was water around. And then he saw petroglyphs, and so he knew that if there were petroglyphs, that means the natives would have been able to live on this land. He knew water couldn't be very far, so he found water on the property. He dug down, and they're still not on the Scottsdale water right now. It's still just from the well.
But he really did have an appreciation for the Native Americans that were here before he was, and he was very much into math, all self-taught. So when he found those petroglyphs, he mathematically placed them exactly on the property where he found them, and then the logo that is Taliesin
this
West
is interesting, yeah.
and Taliesin was from those petroglyphs. And if you match up the petroglyph, it is where the water line is running under the earth mile for mile. So the Native Americans knew exactly where the water was, and they were leaving their communication for generations to come, letting them know where that water was. I have chills.
I do too.
I have chills on my arm.
But I really thought that this was a really delightful tour. So if you're out here in Scottsdale area, put this on your must-do list, because it was really neat. And we only gave you the tip of the iceberg of what we learned about the man, the myth, and the legend.
From Frank Lloyd Wright.
Yes. Welcome to a very, very windy Arizona spring day. Be smarter than the latch. Smarter than the latch. Okay, there we go. We are long overdue for an oil change. And one of the things that we're doing before we take it into the dealer, because the first oil change is on the dealer, which is quite nice, is we are testing the oil with Blackstone. And quick disclaimer, we're not working with Blackstone, no affiliate, no money, no ad, none of that. Subscriber Steven, and sorry about the wind, it is so windy out here. Subscriber Steven said, get the oil tested, and that way, it's like 26 bucks, you send this in, you take a oil sampling, you send it in, and they'll tell you how much metal's in the oil, they'll tell you if there's any antifreeze in the oil, they can diagnose any issues that you might be having before. But more importantly, and the reason I'm doing this, is they can tell you exactly when is the proper time to change the oil. And I would much rather take a sample, send it into Blackstone, and say, no, you're good for another 5,000 or 10,000 or 15,000 miles. So that's what we're doing here today. I'm gonna pull some oil out. I've got a little pump here provided by Blackstone. Just threaded that in. Pump, 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 pump. Get this out, put that tube inside here. Pre-scan to put it in the mail. Pretty simple. So, let's
Kind of looks like you're at a doctor's appointment there, Mark.
I am. The truck's going in for some testing. And the other
analysis.
The other thing that was really surprised, wish I had my glove. The other thing I was really, is like, look at this. It's like an epidermal for the truck. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna just put that in there a little bit. I read in the instructions, are you proud of me? That I read?
Oh, wow.
That depending on how how hot your oil is, it can take a while to get up, but it's going now.
But the car hasn't been running.
I just moved it. Yeah, I just turned it around for optimum lighting. Pretty good. That's a fair amount of oil. Anyhow, so we're gonna send that in to them, and I'll share with you the results, of course. One of the reasons I wanted to do this is because we're going to Alaska. I wanted to make sure our oil was all. Anyhow, so that's it. So we're gonna go get an oil change, and then other exciting stuff. We're gonna go to Papago Park tonight.
Botanical Gardens.
Like I said, we're gonna go to Botanical Garden tonight.
Yes.
And what's happening at the Botanical Garden?
They're having Latin music under the stars, and they're going to serve you dinner. So
you know we like our Latin music.
30 bucks, yeah, we do. For 30 bucks, which is the price of like a regular Botanical Gardens admission.
Yes.
You for $30 you get to go have dinner, music, and the Botanical Gardens.
Wow.
That's really cool.
Yeah, well that's why we're doing it.
That's why we're doing it.
I'll tell you what, I don't think anything at the dealership is going to be that interesting. And then we have a lot of editing to do today.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't we just have the video go from right now to on our way to the Botanical Gardens, and we'll just quickly change. And just like that, hey, you look very pretty.
Oh, thank you. You look so handsome.
So, all right, now we're headed off to Papago. Oil change didn't. Botanical Gardens. I've done the same thing twice.
Every time.
Oil change didn't go so smooth. 4 hours at the dealership. 4 hours at the dealership for an oil change.
We won't ever go to a dealership for an oil change.
Hey, you come in, your first oil is free. Very disappointing experience. Won't be going back to the dealer unless we absolutely have to.
Yeah.
Anyway, but enough about that. It's date night, and we're headed out to the Botanical Gardens.
Pretty excited.
Got it right.
Good job.
Yeah, thanks. And the
Latin singing band. I cannot wait for that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's my pink polka dotted friend. It's gorgeous.
Another thing we've never been to.
Well, I've been here on a lot of field trips.
Okay, well,
but it's not the same.
But it's very pretty. And with the camera, this is the thing I love about documenting our travel, is that I'm looking at this. Of course, I probably have a higher appreciation for this than I did in the past.
Absolutely.
But even so, when you're holding a camera and I'm sharing it with you, I'm looking for everything.
Yes.
And I really do believe that when you document your travel, you get even more out of it. You're really in the moment.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention we're here.
Well, that's what we said on the way here, right?
Yes.
Is that we wouldn't be doing this.
Yes.
So the vlog is making our life better, so thank you.
Yes, it forces us to go out and do and see. Anyhow,
in our hometown.
Yes, so welcome to the Botanical Gardens. We are here in the twilight, or the golden hour.
Yes.
Just about, but we're gonna go get some great seats, a bottle of wine, and then we're gonna go back in the garden and show you around before the real activity starts. So let's go do that. So we walked in and there was a sign that said photography and video something or other may be permitted for promotional purposes. Never seen a sign like that in my life. So I inquired about the sign and she says, oh yeah, you need to talk to, you know, so-and-so. So I talked to her and she says, oh yeah, that would be wonderful. She says, let's go talk to the band leader and make sure he's fine with it. We talked to him, he was totally fine. He gave me his business card. So if you like his music tonight, maybe I'll go over,
you can have something
get
new
the album
for the mix.
And check it out. But anyway, we are already having a good time, are we not?
Yeah.
Bottle of wine. We're gonna have dinner.
Beautiful
at the gardens.
Surroundings. This is an A+ situation.
Who would have thought there's so many things to do in our hometown if you actually go out.
Research it.
Anyway, lots of fun. All right, one last thing. You gotta see our tripod.
Why? Oh.
All right, so I'm gonna use this. Where's my phone?
Yeah, let me get it.
I'm gonna get my phone to show you our tripod.
That's hilarious. All right.
That's really funny.
Okay, that's it for now. So should we go on? Should we like claim, like put your jacket here, and then this just as
I
bottle of
don't
wine?
think that we could claim this if it starts
Should I just go
filling
out and get some B-roll?
Yes, and I will go and get some dinner.
Okay, here's what we're gonna do. Trish is gonna reserve the table. I'm gonna go get B-roll. You stay right there. Show's just about to start.
It's gonna be a good night.
Good night.
Very special crowd, very sensitive crowd. That's what I like.
And there's a lively crowd.
It's a lively crowd. People are just feeding off of your music.
Yes.
They're loving it.
Where are you from?
I'm from Colombia.
Colombia.
South America, just very close to Ecuador.
Sure.
Yes.
Where do you have a website, or how do the people that follow us follow you?
www.jaleo, Jaleo Latin Music.
Okay.
Jaleo Latin Music. Thank you very much for coming here tonight. Okay.
Oh, you're
Yes,
fabulous. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Subiendo la corriente, chichorro y atarraya, me acabo de parecer para llegar a la playa. Pescador habla con la luna, pescador habla con la playa. El pescador no tiene fortuna, solo su atarraya. Habla con la luna.
I can't hear you right now. All I can hear is the music.
Can you hear the music? This was a lot of fun. And we're glad we got to like close out, assuming this is the last, we got to close out Scottsdale, Carefree, Phoenix.
It feels like we're in Miami.
Miami episode with you. And we're scratching the surface of all the things to do around here, but the Frank Lloyd Wright, Taliesin West I thought was a huge hit.
Pinnacle Peak, if you like hiking even a tiny bit, Pinnacle Peak is for you.
It's just a really neat area up in Carefree. So
There are farmers markets everywhere. You just need to check the web.
Old Town Scottsdale has a farmers market on Saturday, so that's a little bit there.
There's one in Carefree, one in Scottsdale, and one in Old Town.
Yes, and then of course if you have children, you have kiddos you're traveling with, there's the aquarium over in Scottsdale, there's the Butterfly Museum. Okay, so this is where we're gonna leave you, and there is more to come next week. I believe we're gonna have our 100K video. If all goes well, we're gonna have a 100,000 subscriber video.
Oh my
And it's gonna be in a surprise location.
We are so excited you came out with us tonight. Wasn't it fun?
I know, yes, it was very good.
It was good, it was good.
So there's about a handful of more episodes in season 4, and then we're gonna start fixing up the Grand Ginger and the truck for season 5, Alaska.
Get ready for our great outdoors adventure.
Oh, cannot even wait. All right, it's been real, it's been fun, but we're out of here.
It's time to dance.
See you later. See you next weekend.